Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. A heartfelt welcome to the Upside Up Podcast. We're thrilled to be in front of the microphone again, recording a conversation for your ears and minds to enjoy. I'm your host, Jeremy Niest, and am joined by the Bama lover himself, Garrett Saban-Horn. How are you, sir?
I like it. Garrett Saban. That's my son's name.
Oh, dear. We have what looks to be a deeper episode for your enjoyment today. We've gotten requests for that. I think Garrett's going to be talking about aquariums, and those are deep.
Literally.
It was horrible. Forgive me. But no, we're going to be talking about a deeper subject, and then he's going to be talking about
you were
aquariums.
Actually joking.
About what?
I took that serious.
Oh,
that was a bad one, Jeremy.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so we haven't had a deeper episode in a while, so hopefully this will be beneficial to you. We're going to talk about something that I've noticed in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, and I've entitled it A Time to Weep. And, well, that's not really my title. That's what it says in the verse that we're going to talk about. But I think I've got some interesting thoughts that I wanted to share with you. We've got the clash of the wits, and good news, we have both Justin and Steven's joke this time. So we've had 2 episodes where we haven't, so you can be happy about that. I'm excited for that. Garrett's going to talk to us about aquariums, as I mentioned, so that will be interesting. I know that's a passion of his.
Listen, guys, it's very exciting.
I bet it is. What a hobby.
What a hobby. I love it.
It's pretty cool. I'll admit, you've got a neat setup. We'll answer some listener questions, and we'll have the best advice in the world. Advice that you can take at your own risk, I suppose. But before we begin, we have some more news and notes to share with you. So, again, we have a YouTube channel, so go on there and search Upside Up Podcast on YouTube. Subscribe to us on there. We still have some interesting things, hopefully exciting, fun things planned in terms of videos that will be uploaded here shortly. We haven't actually shot the videos except...
Well, we tried.
We tried. So let me explain. We were trying to do an intro video that will be coming out here before too long, and I learned something about myself. You were trying to say your lines, Garrett, and I knew what your line was, and I was in the shot, and I was like mouthing the words that you said.
You've always done that. You just did it. Literally, people, he just did it.
Did I really?
A second ago. Yes, he knew, I think he knew the direction my sentence was going, and so he started mouthing the words.
Did I?
And he's always done that, and I've noticed, and I thought he knew he did it. But, it's not bothersome at all. I just have noticed before.
Wow.
But
I got to work on that. For real, I had no idea it was something I did. I had been told one other time that I did that, but I didn't know I was doing it in the videos except for one time, and we reshot that scene, and then, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not like, man, I wish you would not do that. But I do notice it. So.
Well, hey, man, slap me when I do that.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
But subscribe to us on there. We've got some cool stuff planned. We've got the possibility for some T-shirts here in the future. So that's a big announcement. If you have an interest in a T-shirt, we're thinking about charging something like $12 to $13 for that. That would cover the cost for making the T-shirt and then some other costs that we have with the T-shirts, like T-shirts for people that we don't want to pay for, that we don't want them to pay for. So, with all that being said, $12, $13 is what we're thinking, and that is something that will develop more traction here in the future. We're still working out some of the kinks in that, but I think it's going to be a pretty sweet looking T-shirt. So, keep your eyes out for that. We'll probably post on Facebook, Twitter, may even do something on YouTube for you to have the opportunity to order one of those, and we'll get all that worked out here before too long.
Cannot beat a good T-shirt.
You can't. I
Quality.
love T-shirts.
I do too.
I don't know.
I don't get to wear them as much as I used to because I try to dress up a little bit for work. But
right.
I can wear T-shirts to work, but try to be a little...
Dress to impress.
Dress to impress.
Yeah.
Dress for the job you're trying to get is what I've been told.
Right, exactly. That's what I've been told too. I go to school in scrubs, so maybe...
Okay.
I guess that's the job I want, which it kind of is, but I don't really want to work in scrubs. I don't want to be in that.
Is that not what you have to?
No, the outpatient clinics you don't have to work in scrubs.
Oh,
it's like a polo and jeans.
I didn't know that.
That kind of thing, khakis. Also,
Scrubs
let's run through
comfortable.
these right quick. They are comfortable. I like
I've worn
them.
them as pajamas before.
For real?
Well, the pants.
Oh yeah. Gotcha. We got the Facebook Live possibility here in the future. If you have interest in that, we really do want to hear from you. So interest in T-shirt, interest in Facebook Live, please let us know if you can. That would mean a lot to us. And then something that I noticed today, we were looking on our SoundCloud, and we have a listener from the Netherlands that has listened 12 times, something like that. If you're listening to this episode, whoever you are in the Netherlands, please contact us through Facebook, SoundCloud, Twitter, something. I would love to know who that is and how they got involved. So
might be Sebastian's cousin.
It could be, but for some reason I have doubts that it's his cousin.
Yeah, me too.
It could be. I don't know. All right, so with all of that good stuff out of the way, remember T-shirts. If you're interested, let us know. Facebook Live interest, let us know. All right, so this is something that I've kind of wanted to talk about on the show here for a little bit, and it's something that I've noticed. It's a passage here in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, and it's verses 1 through 8, and it talks about in verse 1, to everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. And I think that this is just an interesting passage. It kind of puts things in perspective that there is a time for this and there's a time for that. I'm not going to read all 8 verses, but in verse, number 4, it says, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. And obviously that dance is not talking about anything in a vulgar type way. It's just, that kind of leaping for joy. When you're joyous, you do kind of a rhythmic pattern type thing. So that's the way I understand that. But kind of want to focus in here on a time to weep and a time to mourn. I saw an average online in my research thinking about this episode that women will cry 50 times a year on average, whereas men will cry 10. And
probably accurate.
Well, I was thinking about that as I was driving to town, and 50, that's a lot. 10, I feel like that may be a lot for guys. I mean, I know that there are guys that cry more often than others, but I don't think I would classify myself more of a sensitive guy than other people. I don't know if I'm more sensitive than you or not, but I probably am a little more sensitive than you are, Garrett. But I didn't cry 10 times in a year. I'm fairly certain of that.
Yeah.
But
I don't know how many times I cried. Might have been 10, maybe been less, maybe more. I don't know.
Yeah. But, maybe 10's a good average, but
I actually think, I'm not saying anything negative toward women, but 50 for some people, for some women, is actually kind of low, I would think,
Yeah.
So, it's an average. So you have the people who cry all the time, and you have people that cry none. So it does average out, but I was a little surprised that it seems kind of low, but whatever.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Women are obviously more emotional than men, but in our society, thinking about this, our society says that crying is a sign of weakness, especially in terms of men. If a man cries, that's a sign of weakness. But what does God say? I mean, here in Ecclesiastes, the wisdom of Solomon writes that there's a time to weep and there's a time to laugh. I mean, for me, I laugh a lot. You and me, we laugh all the time. We've laughed a bunch just sitting here before the show and even during the show.
Laugh.
We love to laugh.
I love to laugh.
Maybe we laugh at times when we shouldn't laugh. And I've been guilty of that, I'm sure.
Yes.
But more so, I know that there have been times when I should have wept, or I should have, maybe even if I couldn't produce physical tears, maybe I should have been more sensitive or to weep with those who weep, as we see here in Romans chapter 12 and verse 15. Rejoice with those who rejoice, weep with those who weep. So anyway, this verse, it's just been, this section especially, but especially this verse, it's been very interesting to me that there's a time for everything under the sun, and there's a time to weep. And that is not something that I think about, especially with the millennials, and if I can call them that, which I guess I'm one of, which
you are.
That's embarrassing. But
I am too.
I don't want this to come across as we need to be more sensitive and more, get our feelings hurt and allow ourselves to cry. Even though that's kind of what I'm saying, we need to choose the times, as this verse says, to cry and recognize those times. Not to cry when I was listening to the Rick and Bubba show, or I was watching on YouTube today, and it was one of their segments today, and they were talking about how at UAB they were going to have these counseling meetings for people who could not deal with the fact that Donald Trump's going to be our president. It's just ridiculous.
Safe spaces, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about. But rather, when someone is in a very trying situation, maybe lost a loved one, maybe lost a relationship, maybe someone they love has turned their back on their relationship to God, that is a time for us to cry if that happens to us, and that's a time to weep with those who weep. And I don't feel like maybe all of us as brethren, I don't know if we necessarily do that enough. I'm sure that there's been times that I have passed by somebody and decided not to be sympathetic towards someone because, it's just kind of embarrassing. It's uncomfortable, I guess, to be around someone that's crying. That's usually a situation I want to avoid. And yet, like I've said multiple times now, there's a time for that. So those are the kind of things that have been going through my head. Another passage in 2 Samuel 18, verse 33, it says, the king was deeply moved, talking about King David, and went up to his chamber over the gate and wept. And as he went, he said thus, O my son Absalom, my son Absalom, if only I had died in your place, O Absalom, my son. And you just see that agony that's there. And Absalom was not righteous towards God and died, but he still saw that he still had that love for other people, and felt that sympathy and love so much that he was weeping. A couple more things to say about that. In terms of losing someone, I went to a funeral last year, and someone who I know very well had lost someone very important to them. It was a child that had died.
Oh man!
And it was someone who was going through a lot of physical ailments, and it was in a better place, in a more peaceful place. But I remember him getting up and saying a prayer with tears rolling down his eyes, barely being able to talk. And he said, blessed be the name of the Lord who giveth, taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And that stood out to me. It brought tears to my eyes. And those types of situations, it's much easier to cry. But I don't know, just things that have been in my head.
Well, there are passages. Jesus, it says specifically that Jesus wept over a loved one. I think weeping helps us reflect on things and helps us to become stronger Christians, stronger people.
Right.
It makes us thankful for what we have. When you're weeping over a loved one, you think about how thankful you are for the people that you still have and the people that you are close to. So.
Right. Yeah, and the last thing that I really wanted to talk about in regards to this is I was looking into the science of crying, and I went on WebMD, and here's a quote from them. Let's see. Crying may have a biochemical purpose. It's believed to release stress hormones or toxins from the body, and that is a quote from Lauren Bilsma, a PhD student at the University of South Florida in Tampa, who focused on crying in her research. And I also saw from a website called NetDoctor, here's a quote from them. Emotional tears contain more of the protein-based hormones prolactin, adrenocorticotropin hormone, and something that I can't remember how to pronounce it, but it's a complicated name. It's a hormone that's a natural painkiller, all of which are produced by our body when under stress. So it's our body's way of coping. I've heard it before that it releases hormones that are there to make you feel better. And so it's our body's kind of natural coping device. And to completely ignore that suggests, I was reading that science suggests that it causes the body harm to not release that.
Well, that's what I was about to say. I think, I didn't know you were going to talk about this coming into the episode, but I think I've read or heard before that psychologically it's not good to to just suppress your emotions. So, if you're a man who has been taught, it's always bad to cry. And again, I'm not suggesting, like Jeremy said, that, we should walk around crying and not being manly. But if you're constantly suppressing your emotions, then it's not healthy for you psychologically or physically or spiritually. That's we just saw.
Yeah, I completely agree. My own personal life, I remember being, early teenager, and I was trying to seem tougher. It's not something that maybe a lot of people think of when they think of Jeremy Ness, kind of stringy and everything. But I was trying to be a tougher guy, and one of the ways I would do that is, I remember telling myself, I'm not going to cry. I don't care what it is, I'm not going to cry. And I went probably years without crying, and I definitely don't think it did me any good.
Yeah.
But all that to say, as the Bible says, there is a time to weep and there's a time to laugh. There's a time to mourn and a time to dance. One quick note, I've heard it said, I believe Kevin Moore was the one that said this where I was listening at one point. The difference between just crying and weeping, crying, you can cry by getting hurt or whatever, but to truly see someone weep, it takes a much more serious role, I guess. And you see that when you lose a loved one or someone, you have to withdraw from someone you love or whatever. So anyway, that's kind of a sad topic to talk about, but I think it's important for us, as we talked with Isaac, how it's important to talk about the hard things and the less manly, if I can use that word, things. But it's very important to remember that it's okay to cry and that there's a time and a place for it, as Solomon in his wisdom wrote. So I guess I've hammered that nail enough. Anything else you want to say on that?
No, I'm good.
All right. Yeah, maybe I should have said that we were going to talk about that before, but I kind of like your authentic reactions. I think it's good. All right, so now it's time for the Clash of the Wits, and we had mentioned that Stephen is up 4-3 in our previous episode. So Stephen's up 4-3, and let's start out with Justin this time. Justin, what you got?
A busload of ugly people had a head-on collision, and they all died. They found themselves standing before the pearly gates, and Peter was there waiting to greet them. Peter told them that they may all each have one wish to be granted. And so the first person came forward and said, I wish to be beautiful. Peter said, okay, done. The next person likewise also came and said, I wish to be beautiful. And so on and so forth. The rest of the line kept saying the same thing. They kept asking for the same wish. And about halfway through, Peter noticed the guy at the very end of the line was laughing. And so as he worked his way through the line, each person came through and said, I wish to be beautiful. And each time Peter would say, okay, it's done. And at the end, when he came to the guy at the very end who was just not by now laughing hysterically, he said, young man, what is so funny? The young man looked up at Peter and said, I wish for them all to be ugly.
Justin, that was good. That was probably your best one so far.
That was wow. That was long.
It was long, but it was like 47 seconds.
that was funny. All right. So, Stephen, what do you have?
So recently, my oldest daughter started wearing makeup, and that's caused me to notice the way that women wear their makeup more often. Like the other day, I was in the grocery store, and I said to the lady behind the checkout, I said, you got your eyebrows painted a little too high. She looked surprised.
Oh, I get it. Oh,
you
don't get it?
I did get it.
I was so lost.
I thought the audio would get out.
I thought something went wrong with the audio, or like, oh dear. But then I got.
She looked surprised. That was good.
That was pretty good.
That was a good competition right there.
That was. What do you think? Who do you think?
What do you think? I want to know what you think.
Man, I tell you what.
I'm really like digesting Steven's joke now.
I know, it was like something's wrong.
I was like,
yeah, what's going on? Oh,
and she
man,
looked surprised.
That's a pretty funny joke, but That is such a dad joke. Yeah,
but I like how he tied it back. Back to him.
That was good. But Justin's delivery was pretty good too.
Yeah. Who'd you pick?
Whew, man, I tell you what.
It's
I think
hard.
that was a really good competition. I think I lean. I think I kind of lean Justin, if I had to say.
Yeah, it's tough. It's like 1A, 1B, but I think Justin's got me a little more.
Yeah, they're both funny. That's possibly the best competition we had, and I know we'll hear from either one of them saying that other joke was horrible.
I know. I was about to say it's hard because they'll both come up and be like, "How could you pick their joke?"
It's like, that was horrible. Mine was so much better. But I like the conversation. Joshua is with us today. Caleb cannot be with us. He's working. So, Joshua, do you have any opinion?
Yeah, what do you think?
I kind of like Mr. Stevens' joke better.
I tell you what.
All right, so we got to vote for Steven.
Yeah, they're both good. I don't know if I could say that one's a loser and one's a winner as much, but I think my vote's for Justin.
Yeah, it's really close.
Yeah.
Yeah, for once y'all made it really hard. Most weeks it's like one's pretty good and the other one's terrible. So
yeah, that's usually how it is. So are we saying Justin?
Yeah, and I mean but I mean I think we should let the audience give their feedback, and if they get the votes and they change it to Steven, then
that's right.
We'll give the win to Steven.
That's right. So we got 2-1. Me and Garrett thinking Justin. Joshua's thinking Steven. If you give us some feedback and change our minds, we will change the tally. But right now we've got Justin winning this week. All right. So Garrett, I am curious to know what we're talking about. So I know it's the aquarium. So what do we got?
Well, it surprises a lot of people that I am so passionate about aquariums that I spend time and money on having a aquarium, because I'm like a sports guy, somewhat of a video games guy, and then all of a sudden I have this hobby of aquarium keeping.
Yeah. So aquarium keeping is the weird part. The fact that you're passionate about it, that doesn't surprise me at all. If you find something, you're always passionate about it.
Yeah. But I get a lot of questions about it. I get people asking, tell me about it. What kind of fish do you have? How big is it?
I've heard people ask fresh or salt water.
Fresh, salt water, yeah. So I just thought that this would be a good means to get the word out. And I think, maybe give a little kind of a sales pitch to give aquarium keeping a shot. So I wanted to talk for a second about how I got into it. Another thing a lot of people don't know about me is that when I was a kid, I had all sorts of pets. I had tiger salamanders, fire-belly toads, I had some newts, I had hermit crabs, fiddler crabs, all sorts of different pets. I've always had pets like that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, over the years, those kind of faded out. But I mean, I would still have them if I had the time. But anyway, when I was in the 4th grade, my family got a 10-gallon aquarium just to have it. And I loved it. From what I remember, we had guppies and stuff in it, and we watched them have babies and all. It was just really cool to have. Well, that kind of faded out. It was mainly my parents taking care of it. Right. We were pretty young, so it just kind of faded out. Well, I've always wanted to get back into it again. I love going to aquariums, the Aquarium of the Smokies, places like that, and seeing the different fish and their environment. So I want to try it again. Well, about a year and a half ago, I got a 10-gallon aquarium. My mom helped me set up and get it and everything. And, it was the first time I actually owned it and could do what I want with it, and I loved it. I got different kinds of fish. I got live plants. Yeah. And the challenge is, it's a challenge, and this sounds maybe terrible, but to keep them alive, because certain fish have certain parameters, so you have to have. You have to have the right water temperature.
A fish is an easy thing to kill.
It really is, Now, I will say I've got like 4 fish. I started out with 10, and 4 of them a year and a half later are still kicking. So, which is pretty good. I mean, really, when you get started, you kill a lot. That's unfortunate, but you do kill a lot when you first get started. So. And so now I recently upgraded back in, I guess, July to a 50-gallon tank, which is pretty big.
Oh, I know it is.
Jeremy helped me move it into my house, and I had to get, of course, permission from the future Miss Amber to put it in the house, but she gave it to me, and I think she likes it too.
Yeah.
So
it's beautiful.
It's real. Yeah. Maybe we can put some pictures or something up.
Well, we'll have more than pictures, sir. If you recall.
Yeah,
you're going to be seeing some of this aquarium here on the Upside Up Podcast YouTube channel. Go ahead.
Thanks for the commercial.
You're welcome.
But yeah, I set it up, and I got more fish. I've got several kinds of tetra from South America, Africa. I've got a cichlid, which is from South America. I think I've got some cory catfish, which are little bitty catfish. They're really cool.
Yeah.
Algae eaters.
You had one named Jeremy, but
rainbows. Yeah, he. I think he got kind of beaten up pretty bad by some other fish.
Doesn't surprise me.
So, yeah, I got a fish named Jeremy. Just as a sign of appreciation for Jeremy helping me move it in. I have a one-eyed fish. It started with two eyes, but
that's pretty cool.
I think it violently lost one. So
okay.
yeah, they fight. They fight sometimes. It's normal.
So it was a fight with another fish and not with himself.
No, I don't think he was fighting with another fish. He's a tetra, so they're not really aggressive. But I do have a couple of semi-aggressive ones that can be a little territorial.
Gotcha.
And I think one of them probably got his eye. But
interesting.
He's fine now. He's my pirate fish.
Pirate fish.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
So yeah, that's my aquarium. Like I said, we'll put pictures and we'll have a video up maybe of as a background so people can get an idea. But as a quick sell for an aquarium, it's very rewarding. It's a very rewarding thing to have. It's to see the fish thrive. Once you get it set up, you see them you can tell. It sounds weird. You can tell that they are, content. Like as far as fish can be content.
Right.
They're not stressed. They're just swimming and they're swimming naturally and look natural like they would in their natural environment. So.
Do fish ever look stressed? Like,
yes,
can you tell?
yes.
This is interesting information.
They typically will get in one spot or toward the bottom of a tank, and they'll just literally shake.
Really?
And it makes them it makes them more disease prone too.
Okay.
I did have a bout with some pretty bad diseases. I don't know. I bought some fish from I think it was Petco in Decatur, and those fish were diseased, and it ravaged my tank. So that is a bad part of it. You can get disease, and it's hard to get rid of because you're in a closed environment. Yep. So,
well, I remember. I never had pets, so that rewarding feeling you're talking about, haven't necessarily felt that with pets before, except for one. I did have one fish that I got at a birthday party when I was I don't know how old I was, maybe 6 or 7, and his name was Scotty. Because my middle name's Scott, and I was creative, so I put a Y.
All right.
But all the fish that came out from that party had a disease, and I don't remember what it was called, but it's really ick.
Ick, yeah, that's what mine had.
Okay, so it had ick, and so my parents, I don't know why my parents did this, to be honest, but they spent a good amount of money on medicines and cleaners and all kinds of stuff trying to heal this little goldfish. Mm-hmm. That we hadn't had very long, and they turned out it worked. They saved the fish's life, and I'd enjoy the fish, and it was a cool thing to experience. I didn't have any responsibility with the fish. I think I fed it from time to time, but I don't think I was even the primary feeder of the fish. And my mom would clean the tank. Well, sadly, Scotty's life came to an end when my mom cleaned the tank for the last time, which it's just kind of funny to say that my mom cleaned the tank, which killed the fish. So my mom killed the fish.
Yeah.
But it's super easy to do. She didn't clean out the water well enough or something like that, and the cleaners ended up killing him. But I don't remember actually being all that upset about it. I love Scotty, but
Yeah. Well, I mean,
fish.
They're just you do care about them, but they don't really know what's going on.
Right, you can't pet them.
Yeah, you can't pet them, but it's rewarding to see them. But I'm impressed that you got rid of ick, because ick is bad news. I had a really hard time getting rid of it. I tried different medicines. What you're really supposed to do, and I ended up having to do this. I got a heater that this is kind of getting nerdy, but it can't survive at a certain temperature.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So you turn the heat up, and it basically burns it out. But so I had to buy a new heater to get rid of it because I had tried like 2 or 3 different kinds of medicines, and it was doing nothing.
Wow.
So
that's interesting. How many did it kill out of your tank?
Well, I would say 6 or 7.
Yeah.
When it gets them, it stresses them out, and that makes things worse because if there's always going to be diseases in your tank.
Right.
But if their immune system's weak from stress and they get like they just like I had some fin rot going on. It was bad, but perfectly healthy now. Everything's good. So
I feel like fish are just. We said that they're easy to kill, but they are so disease prone. I mean, they don't have any immune system.
Yeah, and unfortunately, and some of it is the pet store to blame, but also when you have as many fish as they do, there's going to be some disease. But
of course,
like what happened to Petco is pretty acceptable. I don't get fish from there anymore.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you want to try an aquarium, I have a couple things. You might think that. It's better to start small, and it is a little bit cheaper to start small, but starting out with a small aquarium is actually harder because the smaller you get, the more compact everything is.
Right.
There's more diseases. It stays dirtier. The water can get cloudier easier. I find that when I had my 10-gallon, I had to change water and put water clarifier in it all the time to keep it crystal clear. I have had to use the water clarifier one time in my 50-gallon tank because the water's so spread out.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more work on a smaller tank, but it is a little bit cheaper.
Right.
Now, as far as price, I know that's what a lot of people are curious about, but the equipment to start out is, it's not super cheap, but it's also not outrageous. And once you get the equipment, I would say that it's a lot cheaper to keep an aquarium than it is, just a regular cat and dog basic care.
Right.
You buy filters every once in a while, which are like $5 a piece, and fish food.
Yeah.
And, some chemicals every once in a while, maybe medicines.
Right.
But it's really cheap. I hardly spend any money on the tank unless I just want a new fish or some new plants or something.
Right.
So,
well, even the fish are, they're cheap to
yeah.
buy.
Well, there's some that are a little, if you want to get kind of creative. And
right, of course.
But it's a lot of fun. I would recommend it to anyone. If you have any questions, I'm not an expert. I've only been doing it myself a year and a half, but I feel like I've learned a lot.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting hobby. It's definitely not something that everybody says, what's your hobbies? Well, I like to read. I like to listen to music. I like to aquarium.
That's right.
That's pretty cool. So fresh water over salt?
I want to try saltwater one day. But saltwater is a lot more expensive from the equipment to the fish to maintaining it. So maybe when I'm rich one day, if I get rich one day, I'll try it. But freshwater, I love freshwater anyway. But saltwater, you are a lot less disease prone than freshwater. Freshwater fish are kind of fragile for whatever reason. Saltwater fish are normally a little bit tougher. I've learned.
Interesting. Well, that's some good information. That was a cool topic, man. I'm glad you brought that.
So y'all might all think I'm a nerd now, but that's okay. I'll keep my 50-gallon aquarium, and you can not have yours. So
yeah. Well, you'll be
kidding.
seeing some of his 50-gallon tank here before too long, hopefully. So you can look forward to that. It is quite beautiful. So it's impressive to walk in your door and see that off in the corner. That's pretty neat. All right, so we got some listener questions that we'll run through right quick. Galaxy Explosion 1451, I think is her name. But that's Arden Collins on SoundCloud, and she's asked if you could have any superpower to destroy a villain, what would it be, and who would the villain be? That's an interesting question.
I love superheroes.
Yeah. I know you do, buddy. I've never been that big into superheroes, but any superpower. Let's see. Let's label that one first.
So let's define power. Basically Superman, except for kryptonite, is invincible.
Right.
So
well,
could I pick invincibility, and then I could just beat anybody?
I don't think so. I think it's like one attribute.
Okay.
So like smartness, flying, strength,
okay,
static electricity. I might go with static electricity.
I think speed. You can pretty much beat, because the main thing as a superhero that you're going to be able to, that you're going to have to struggle with, assuming the villains don't have superpowers, is bullets.
Right.
I mean, so if you could, dodge bullets.
Yeah.
And you could also, if you hit someone at full speed, like going as fast as you can, I mean, it's going to cause some damage.
That's a good one.
So I think speed.
I think I'd go with static electricity just because I like Static Shock, a classic TV show from the past. But
I remember that show.
Let's see, what villain would you destroy? All right, let's pick a fictional villain.
That's a tough one.
What's your most hated villain?
Hated villain.
You see, I'm asking you the questions because I don't have much to bring into this. Maybe I might bring in that penguin dude from Batman because he's just ugly.
He's disgusting in the Tim Burton movies.
Is he?
I don't think I've ever seen the whole thing, but he's disgusting.
Yeah, I'd defeat him. He needs to be put in his place.
Yeah,
that's who I'll choose today.
It just depends. I mean, the Joker in The Dark Knight is just a really terrifying character.
Yeah,
but he's also, just because he's interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, but if he was real, I would absolutely despise him. But
right.
He's a fictional character. But the one that poses the most threat, I don't know. Electro in Spider-Man's pretty bad. I mean, and he kills Spider-Man's girlfriend.
No,
so I don't like him because of that. Yeah. Oh, spoiler alert. Sorry.
It's all right. One in Spider-Man is the Octoman. What's his name?
Yeah.
Octa something or other. But I couldn't stand him in the cartoon. He was like the hardest one for Spider-Man to defeat. So.
Yeah. I don't like Venom very much either.
Yeah, well, I kind of had mixed feelings about Venom in the cartoon. That's all I have to go back. I haven't really seen the movies.
Yeah.
But.
Well, he's terrible in Spider-Man 3. Like, that's a bad movie. So.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Well, Arden, thank you for the question. That was a good one. Matthew asks, Matthew, my brother, what is your favorite fruit? I would say mine would either be mango, pineapple. Ooh, man, I'm going to have a long list. I love mangoes. I love pineapple. Cantaloupe and honeydew are really good. Kiwi is up there. Dude, I
know
love
you love fruit.
What about you? Bananas.
Yeah, I would definitely say bananas. I could eat them three meals a day. But I also like oranges a lot, so it's bananas, then oranges. I don't know. I know he didn't ask for the second favorite, but
yeah.
I'm giving it to you anyway. Yeah, bananas.
This may be a little bit too much information, but bananas are known to cause constipation, so maybe you shouldn't eat them all the time.
Thank you for that, Jeremy.
You're welcome.
I'm surprised that you said that.
No, it's all right.
I don't know what to say to that.
Aunt Crystal Sexton on Facebook, she asked, if you could choose your own personal mascot, an animal or other thing that represents your personality, temperament, philosophy, etc., what would it be? And I thought it was funny. Steven, who gives us the jokes, and it's been on the episodes in the past, he commented to her comment asking it, so she basically just asked you for your spirit animal. I just thought that was funny. But I would say that mine, I think I have a lot of similarities to a monkey, so I guess a monkey would be my spirit animal.
Why do you think a monkey?
They're just kind of goofy and playful, and maybe I don't seem that way as much on the show, but I can be pretty goofy and playful. So can you, really.
You're funny.
Thanks, buddy. But maybe that. I also like narwhals just because I like the word.
Yeah, and didn't you go to a school that was called the Narwhals, or
that was
your
the
umbrella?
Mascot. Yeah.
What do you think I am? Because I've been struggling with this question.
I see monkey for real.
I think I'm a gorilla.
You're not mean enough.
I'm tough.
Are you?
But goofy. No, I don't know.
But goofy.
I don't think gorillas are really goofy. They seem pretty serious.
Yeah. I wouldn't say, maybe a baboon.
Oh, thanks, man.
Is that a compliment? I don't know. You're a baboon, but you got the long arms, so baboons have.
Oh, now we're getting personal, huh?
Yeah, and you got a beard too. No, I don't know. But
okay,
they're hairy.
I think baboons have a.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You're that thing that has a big nose.
Yeah. You're welcome, buddy. That was a good question. We should have thought more.
I don't really know.
Yeah,
but maybe a monkey. Who knows?
Yeah. I think so. Jellyfish, maybe. I don't.
Sea cucumber.
Sea cucumber. Okay. Cucumber.
They don't do anything.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Let's see. We got an anonymous question on Facebook. What are some ideas for or Valentine's gifts for significant others. So someone wanting, some advice maybe about what they want to get their significant other for Valentine's Day. Genuinely, I would suggest something, trying to figure out how to phrase it, something that would mean a lot to the other person. That's kind of obvious, but if you, hopefully you're dating whoever this is that you're getting the gift for, and your significant other, so a significant amount about your significant other. So use that knowledge and do something heartfelt, something that tug on those heartstrings. I suppose that's kind of what I'm trying to do.
I don't know how I can really answer this question well when I haven't really decided what I'm going to get Amber yet. But yeah, like you said, I try to, on Valentine's Day, since a sweet holiday, mushy gushy, get her something that reminds her of our relationship or how much I care about her. Right. So, but I was hoping you could tell me some ideas because I don't have any. So
well, jewelry's a good idea a lot of times, especially the meaningful jewelry. But that's done a lot, as well as flowers and chocolate. So I try to think outside the box. And
one year we had the same idea.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, funny story. We were sitting at Sears when we used to work together there, and I was like, "Hey, what are you getting Amber for Valentine's Day?" Well, actually, no. I think you asked me what I was getting Alyssa. Yeah. And I said, "Well, I had this idea for such and such," and you were like, "Dude, you can't do that."
I mean, and it wasn't like flowers. It was like something creative or relatively creative, and it was like, how did?
right.
So didn't you move? Did you move yours or?
I didn't move it. So what mine was going to be was we were going to write down some of our favorite memories and put them into a jar, and then we can go back at the end of the year and like the next Valentine's Day and look through it. It was slightly different from yours, but you had something with memories as well.
Yeah, mine was like I had color-coded cards that I wrote down, like it was color coded for the category. So I had different categories. So like things we want to do, things we've done, things I enjoy doing with her, and
they were super similar. And I had just started dating Alyssa, so I changed mine to like I called it a memory box, and it was just really funny. I remember you going, "Dude, you can't do that. I'm doing that." You weren't doing exactly the same thing, but it was really close. Yeah, that was really funny to me. All right, Gable Duke asked, if you could live in a board game world, which one would you choose to live in? So he gave some examples, maybe Candyland, Clue. What you think?
I don't want to live in Clue.
Yeah, not with a candlestick.
No. I'm not a huge fan of board games.
Yeah,
but
I do know that.
I guess Monopoly, because I whooped you at that the other night.
You did beat me at that.
But yeah, it was. I like Monopoly, I guess, because you can get money.
Yeah. Materialistic.
Sorry.
I kind of like the idea of Candyland, to be honest. I like that. I like that game growing up, and I think that'd be a cool game to be in. Also,
what about Chutes and Ladders?
Yeah, it's like a playground. We can live in that right now. I had one in mind. What was it? Let me think. Settlers of Catan might be interesting. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever played that.
Dominion's not really a board game.
It doesn't really have a world, associated with it that much.
It's got militia.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so thanks everyone for the questions. We got a nice response from everyone, so please continue to bring those in. Sorry, Aunt Crystal, we didn't have a great answer for you, but anyway, we really appreciate all those questions. Those mean a lot to us. It's one of my favorite parts of the show. All right, now it's time for the best advice in the world. This week we've got, what are some practical ways to save money in today's economy? What you think, Garrett? How would we advise?
Forget saving money. When you get it, spend it. I'm serious. I mean, why are you holding back money for?
That's right.
Indulge in what you want.
You only have that moment.
Right. I mean, college. Pff.
Right.
House. Pff.
Right. Car.
Spend the money.
That's right.
I don't want to save money.
Spend the money. If you are going to save the money, I would suggest doing, taking risks in what you invest in. If no one had taken a risk in Apple when they were just a startup company, no one would have ever made millions. So I would say invest as much money as you possibly can in multiple different, who knows where these are going to go, companies, and just see which ones.
Maybe you'll get lucky.
Maybe you will. Maybe you will. So that would be the best advice in the world. Well, we hope that you've enjoyed this episode of the podcast. This is number 15, so we've done quite a few of these now. But we hope you enjoy it, and if you have any suggestions for the show, please let us know. We always want to incorporate new fun things that you would like, so hopefully we can do that. Give those suggestions to us. Pardon me. We want to thank Katie for her excellent work as we give a couple shout-outs. Katie, she does a great job with our music, playing and writing the music, so big shout-out to her. We want to thank Kevin for helping us record the song. We want to thank Justin and Stephen for providing us with the jokes. We had a great competition this week. Please chime in on that on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, wherever your heart desires. Give us some feedback on that and see if you think Stephen wins. Let us know, and we'll try to tally that up and give you a update the next episode. We want to thank our team of editors and producers for their hard and selfless work and expertise. Our head producer / editor, Caleb. Our head graphic designer, Corbin, does a great job. And our assistant producer here, Joshua, with us today. We really appreciate you joining us, buddy, and hope you'll be here for the coming episodes. We love having you around.
Yeah, you're a good guy.
You're a great dude, man. Thanks. All right, I personally want to thank Garrett for his doing this project with me. He put in some time and some thought into that aquarium topic, so that went well, and I want to thank him for everything that he does for the show. I want to thank you, the listener, for joining us today. You give your time, your attention to listen to us, just two amateurs sitting in front of a microphone. So we really appreciate you giving us that time. Suggest it to your friends if you enjoy it. That helps us out. Live upside down. Live upside down. That's what we're trying to do.
Live upside down in the upside down world.
That's right. No, pardon me. Live upside up in this upside down world and shine our lights with every opportunity that God has blessed us with. And we'll see you next week, guys.
Well, bye. I mean, I hear it, but it's so quiet that I can't.
Okay. Edit this out, Caleb. Let me try that again. Sorry.
Cut!